do it Friday, so we don't have anything but weeks left, so, but yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
That's unusual, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Jerry will have to sign. All right, 6 o'clock, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Also going to read our mission statement in partnership with the communities. The mission of the Dorkston and Untitled School District is to educate individuals in an environment of trust and respect so they become self-directed, responsible, lifelong learners. Again, just a reminder to all guests, we ask that no outbursts or gestures of approval or disapproval happen during the business meeting. We want to remind the public that we value each other's opinions and we can respectfully disagree with one another while conducting our meeting in a professional manner. So thank you so much. We have all board members present. Any changes to the agenda?
Nope. The only thing is just for me, I think I added one more thing at the end, and that is just school-age childcare. Right before questions, so otherwise, everything's there.
All right, do we have a motion? So motion by Nicole, is there a second? Second. Second by Brittany. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, we have public comment today. We have Susie Olick. She's going to be speaking here. Amy's going to turn on, I'll have you come up here and address us, please. And then Amy will set the timer and she'll raise her hand when you have probably 30 seconds left, or what do you think? A minute left, okay? So just so you know, we will not have dialogue with you. We will just listen to your comments, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. In light of what's been going on in the last week or so with the National School Board sending a letter to the federal government asking them to protect them from parents who protest decisions. Our Attorney General, Merrick Garland, has authorized the FBI to investigate these matters in the name of national security. What they want parents who protest, who don't go along with them, to be called domestic terrorists. And our Attorney General has agreed that he will check this out and investigate. He's given them authority to do so. And I'm asking you as a school board to oppose, denounce this action, because it has no place in our schools whatsoever. First of all, it's very shocking that it's come to this. It's a totalitarian movement, is what it is. So parents are, maybe like all over, are frustrated with school boards everywhere, in some areas of the country more so than others. They're not being listened to. They're fed up with math mandates. They're fed up with critical race theory being taught, sexual manners, social and emotional learning. They're tired of the gender movement being pushed in schools, and they're basically, a lot of these kids are being brainwashed, and they also encounter the teachers' beliefs. So even there's a former governor of Virginia, who says that parents shouldn't be telling the schools what they should teach. Taxpayers have no say in schools. So the federal government has no business in local authorities, which is a school board. They have that's under local authority. And in that letter, there was been no violence. Nobody's been hurt, but they don't like what's going on. They don't like to be opposed. And I'm not saying that you guys do that. I'm not saying that. But this is bad. There is laws on the book. If somebody gets out of hand, if they violate somebody, if they hurt somebody, there are laws in the book, and it's a matter for the local authorities, not for the federal government. They have no place in there. And for one thing, these are not federal buildings. They're local and state. And this gets the federal government into what is local authority and into local law enforcement matters. It is against the First Amendment, these parents to speak out and to assembly, to be called a terrorist, a domestic terrorist, is what these parents are being called. Now think about the people that rioted last summer, who hurt people, they killed policemen, they burned down buildings. Every one of those people are out of jail and they were not called terrorists. And the government, if they let this go, they're going to expand more beyond the schools. It's an attempt to shut up opposition to what's going on. Even the Secretary of the Department of Education said parents should not be the primary teacher, the primary influence in the child's life. It's a slippery slope. Now you mentioned something about a school board conference coming up. I suggest you go there and raise your opposition to what's going on. This is not good. And just a side note here. You mentioned a letter about CRT not being taught. That is really not true. CRT has been being taught in Minneapolis since I think it's 2015. They don't call it CRT. It came in through Common Core. And I would suggest maybe you probably check that out. And you said a mentioned word that kept coming up was equity. Equity is a buzzword to them. Equity does not mean equality. We all have the same opportunity under our Constitution, but it does not guarantee equal outcomes. So that's where they're going with that equity thing. So, and I guess CRT doesn't belong with the first, they don't agree with the Amendment for Free Speech because they say it was created by white men for white supremacy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the public comment. We have verbal recognition. I just would like to recognize our kids last week had homecoming, and I think everybody had a great time. So thanks to the student council and all those that put that on. So it was fun. If anybody was at the football game, there was over 200 kids that sang the national anthem, which I thought was fabulous of Mr. Andreessen. So anybody else have anything?
I would like to recognize the 6th grade team. We got an email today. So we all have heard a lot about the TikTok challenges going out. And of course, in their typical fashion, they created another video, which is pretty good. My daughter was really excited to show it to me when I got home, but I didn't tell her I already seen it. But it's a do better challenge. So they're encouraging people to flip the scales instead of doing something negative, to recognize people for all the positive that they're doing. So they're empowering the kids in a way with these little notes to first recognize the teachers, and then they're going to expand on that. So I thought that was a pretty neat way to turn the scales.
Yeah, I saw that as well today, and I thought that was pretty clever and very well thought out by that team. So if anybody has an opportunity to see it, maybe we should have them send it out to everybody, the whole school, if you don't see it. So yeah, TikTok's causing lots of problems for school administrators. So they're spending more time dealing with stuff that they can't control. So any other verbal recognition?
I think it was the PTA, elementary PTA put on the event at State City last Monday. And I think it was well attended, lots of kids had fun. It was super busy and they were just having so much fun. So thanks to them for doing that, and the kids really enjoyed it. It was a late Monday night, but it was worth it.
Wonderful to hear. All right, 6.1, early childhood report. Roseanne, you're up.
I handed out just a little flyer that I tend to update everyone with every year about the different classes, the teachers who are teaching our classes, our numbers, and where we're at this year. Not a lot of changes moving forward from this past year to this year. We have had a few staff changes. Maria Rands is covering our Tots class over at our Glendon site. We did lose Marcy Wilson as our Tots teacher over here, needing more hours. I totally understand that 2 half-days was not enough hours to have for her to continue with us. She needed more hours for teaching. So best wishes to her, still staying in touch with her. So Maria Rands has taken over that morning class at our Glendon site for us. Still looking for a full-time replacement as Maria stepped in to take the class as long as we need to have her take it. So she's doing a great job with those 3s over in Glendon, as well as continuing to teach the school readiness classes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday over at our Dover site. Also have a new para with our Tots program over in Dilworth with myself. Rebecca Wilkie is helping out in the classroom with me. She's been a great find, who is also a licensed teacher. Had a lot of preschool experience, so it's been great to partner with her in our Tots classroom over in Dilworth. We've hired a new ECFE teacher, Megan Allgard, as Maria Rands has, her children are getting older and busier, and she's needing those evenings free. So those evening ECFE classes are being taught by Megan Allgard. I'm actually doing the parent ed this session this year, and it's been fun to get back in with those parents. I've always been with the children for so many years, haven't been in that parent ed role for a while, and it's been a lot of fun getting back with the parents in the class. I told them they make me feel old. I now have 2 preschoolers that I had as preschoolers who were bringing their children to ECFE. So it's been a lot of fun to now have them as in the parent role in our ECFE classes. Looking at our numbers, I've been happy to say that this year we have the exact same number for our school readiness kids from last year to this year. We also with school readiness last year, due to COVID and having those Wednesdays off at the beginning of the year, we had only done those 2 half-days of school readiness. This year, since we're in class all 5 days, we're back up to those 3 half-days like we had done in the previous year. So families are happy to have their preschoolers in those 3 half-days instead of 2 half-days of school readiness. Tots, very similar numbers as well. We're 1 additional Tots child in our classes for our 3s compared to last year. Again, classes are going well. The kids are adjusting well, and lots of smiles and squeals as they're finding new toys and exploring the classroom. ECFE is back in action. Last year, due to COVID, we didn't have the parents in the buildings. We are doing some of our ECFE with parent-child in the evenings. We offered both a Glendon class and a Dilworth class. We weren't able to get enough families for that Glendon class. We only had 2 families registered, but they both were able to join our Dilworth class. So it was nice that we have 8 families in our evening classes in Dilworth. So it's been a lot of fun to have them back in the buildings and with the 2 to 5-year-olds back in the building, painting and Play-Doh and exploring the classroom with their families. Screening numbers from this year, we screened 34 kids in September the first week of right after Labor Day. And looking at those numbers from kindergarten screenings, we always have some of those children who enter kindergarten who have not been screened. Last year was a large number. I believe we had 29 last year that entered kindergarten without screening. This year, I'm happy to say it was 14. Did about 40 individual appointments last year. Due to COVID, keeping those screenings were lower numbers with adults and children attending and just doing those individual appointments. So got 40 of those individual appointments done throughout the school year. So really contacted families as soon as they registered for kindergarten, as soon as they were on that spreadsheet, working to contact them to set up that early childhood screening. So I think that really helped to reduce those numbers. There's always those families that move in mid-year, register after we're done in May, we're not able to catch them for early childhood screening, but now we're finishing up, getting those 14. I just contacted Johnny and Cassidy today to get those final ones for Glendon set up. Did one this afternoon actually, and have a couple more scheduled for tomorrow, and just those 2 left over in Dover. So we'll get those screenings all done, and they'll be all set to roll for kindergarten, and have all their I's dotted and T's crossed, and the paperwork that needs to start. I also attached the flyer that we had advertised for our ECFE classes. Still looking for different ways to get that information out to families that where they don't have children already in our district. I really missed that Rebel News we had years back that went into every home. So it's just really hard to find ways to get that information out into those families that aren't on the DGF website, or they're not on the DGF Facebook page because their children are younger than school age. So got some ideas. We've been brainstorming. So if you have any ideas, I welcome some ideas, but I'm going to check and see if maybe through the city we can get some information out, even with like public city bills or some posters around the city, so that as families are stopping in to do different things around both Dilworth and Glendon and Felton, that we can get that information out to them.
I think most of like the offices have like a bulletin board on the outside.
Yep.
Same thing like church or whatever. Maybe just
Or
start some of those
just
with us.
contacting with the daycare families as well, and sending a flyer directly out to the daycares and having them post to the daycares as well.
Oh,
too.
perfect.
So
You always do a great job. Rebecca.
trying to find out all those ways we can connect those little kiddos into the district before they hit kindergarten. So.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I
Thank
guess
you very much.
I have a question, but it may be more for Shannon. Do we know what the preschool programs are gonna look like once we're combined?
We're in that phase of looking at what classes with those 4 classrooms, what it will look like. One classroom I would like to leave reserved for a gross motor room, as we just don't have access to the gym space where we could have more of those scooters and ride-on toys and having a parachute and all those busy things where in a smaller size classroom, you're not able to do as many of those things as you're worried about injuries. Also, having a gross motor room is more of a parent ed room, as well as we don't have a parent ed space for meeting for ECFE currently. We're gracious enough to be able to share the OT PT room over at the Dilworth site across from the early childhood room, and we're able to pull up folding chairs, put folding chairs out for the parents, put them back in after class. It's a hassle, but we make it through to get it for those parents. So to have a guaranteed space within, right near our classrooms, to have the parents in that growth motor area room. Some ideas for tables, like think the Murphy bed, think the Murphy table that could be on the wall and come down. Different ideas we're looking at. Also looking at what classes we'll be able to offer. Looking at 4 half-day option for school readiness. 3s, do we keep 3s at 2 half days, but maybe up the time a little bit. But I have a plan formulated for those 4 classrooms. I think I've got all the school readiness classes and the Tots classes all to where we can most best utilize the space that we have.
Awesome. Thank you.
We do have a meeting, I do, with the admin team on Wednesday after school. We're going to talk a lot about the facilities in next year and that transition. So we're going to start to have those conversations and where people are going to be at. So it would be nice, I'd like to visit with you in the next 2 days before that meeting. So I get to hear, because we know we're going to have some empty rooms there for interventionists and whatnot. So let's visit to make sure that that's going to be interjected into that discussion on Wednesday. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roseanne. All right, Chelsea, you're up. Food service report.
Hello, I'm Chelsea. I haven't been on in a while. So I'm going to start off with kind of talking about something you guys are probably all aware of. The food supply chain disruption. We have also been struggling with it. I know it's been on the news. It's pretty nationwide. There's just, because of COVID, there's kind of been this whole lack of availability of raw ingredients. There's a huge lack of labor. just not enough people to produce the food and then to, of course, transport the food. So because of this whole thing, it's definitely affecting our food program, and we have been trying to adjust as much as possible. On top of that, to kind of snowball, as of Friday, September 3rd, our primary vendor, Cashwa, they officially terminated the contract with the Lakes Country Co-op that we are a part of. So thankfully, with this whole contract, we have a 60-day kind of safety buffer, so they just can't say, oh, we're done on Friday. So on September 3rd, they said, all right, well, we're done 60 days, and as of November 2nd, we no longer have Cashwa as our primary food supplier. So the co-op went into emergency procurement. We've been in contact with the state, so the state is aware. They went into emergency solicitation. So basically we have over 500 items with Cashwa that we get this discount because of our, mass purchasing with all these schools. So what happened is the co-op went and pared down this market basket, they call it, down to 150 items only. And so what they did is they got in contact on September 15th with Reinhardt Twin Cities, US Foods, which is based out of Grand Forks, Mason Brothers, which I think is down in the cities, it's a really small distributor, Cisco, which is based in Fargo, Upper Lakes Food, and Indian Head. So what they did is they gave them a September 21st deadline. They gave them this pared down market basket. They said, we want to work with you guys. Can you make it happen? So the deadline came and we got 0 responses, which is really bad. So that means that we have no price protection. We have no hold on per case delivery fees, and it's like a free for all. So basically the co-op has been kind of trying to help out each individual school, and it's basically like where you're located in the state, you kind of got to find a distributor that's close and like beg for them to take you on. So I've been in contact with US Foods. I've also been in contact with Cashwa because of how close, thankfully, our school is to their main warehouse. And I've also been in contact with Cisco. So I haven't heard back, hopefully this week. But we've been making the best of it, and I get it. Cashwa, this whole year, we always get deliveries on Mondays and Thursdays. And this is the first year we've been getting deliveries on Tuesdays and on Fridays, and your truck's not coming. So it's just, they don't have the people. And unfortunately, where we're located, it's also kind of double-edged sword because we're so close, our deliveries have been all over the place because they're like, you're close enough, you can go to will call if you need. And we've been making it work, and the kids have been great, and we try to get communication out as much as possible to teachers, and we thankfully have never changed a meal the day of. We've always been able to give at least a day notice if there's a big lunch menu change or snack change or that sort of thing. So I'm hopeful that because of where we're located, we'll be able to snag Cisco or Cashwa or US Foods in Grand Forks. So we'll keep you posted on that. On a fun note, I am going to apply. There is a Agri Farm to School full trade grant that's available. And basically it's just, they want to support schools that are trying to, increase their farm to school involvement. And so I'm applying for a full-size combi oven. So it's basically 2 smaller stacked ovens that we've gotten in the past. So it's a little more expensive, but we'll know the application is due in November, and we'll know and be able to spend the funding if we're able to get it in January, February. Are there any questions?
Do you have any sense of how long, how long food shortage issues? I mean, have you heard from?
They kind of are predicting it to be like an all-year thing. And it's been crazy because, certain things that we've always been able to get, we have yet to be able to get this whole school year. And things will come back in stock, and it's like a free-for-all of people trying to snag it before it's out of stock again. So, I mean, we've been doing our best, and we thankfully have, you know, the storage to be able to make it work as much as possible. But I mean, we're really full right now in our storage just to try and keep with the menu as much as we can by ordering so far ahead. So.
The co-op sends something we could do, so Chelsea and I have talked a fair amount about it and what they're trying to do and they're communicating. And so a letter or a note I got the other day from them is that they're gonna try to meet with Cashflow again this week to try to convince them to see, can you stay on for some schools after November 2nd? So the co-op's been very helpful, or at least trying to be helpful. They haven't had a lot of luck, but
Yeah,
they're
and I
trying.
can't imagine them trying to
Oh,
help
it's-
each individual school. I mean, they
Yeah.
have a ton, but.
So it's a hot topic, obviously nationwide, but specifically, so, anyway. Awesome.
Having 4 kids in the district, I haven't heard a lot of complaints.
Oh,
So I appreciate
good.
all of that. It makes home life a little easier.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you, Chelsea. All right, 6.3 board committee reports.
Sorry, guys, I was supposed to send a
That's
email
all
out
right.
and I
We
forgot.
forgive you. This is, we're new to this since July.
Your
Yeah.
company,
We had,
Yeah, you're in recovery.
we had our joint powers meeting on Thursday last week. And so we talked a lot about the intergovernmental retreat coming up and kind of how we're going to best utilize that time. And they're talking a lot about trying to make it a very positive event and try to encourage lots of townships and smaller communities to come so that they can celebrate the things that they used their COVID dollars for and just really try to empower all of Clay County instead of it just being kind of, in their words, like a one-minute thing. This morning can take up most of the day, and then, you know, all these other people don't feel like they have something to contribute. So there was some really good dialogue on that. And then our speaker for the morning was Mark Empton, the sheriff, and he talked a lot about the sheriff's office response to mental health suicide calls or suicidal calls, and then how we deal with mental health within our own workplace, and the deputies' personal mental health with our peer assistance crisis team as well. Those were the big highlights. Overall, it was a pretty good conversation.
Sounds like it.
And kudos to Nicole there because Sheriff Empton did give her a lot of kudos on all the trainings that she provides our county and our sheriff's department and outside of that. So it was, yeah, nice to hear.
I deal with the mental health side of things.
Yeah.
Have we chosen the date yet or not?
The last Thursday.
Yeah.
The last Thursday in January, I think. Or first they talked about the 7th, I believe.
7th of what?
January
January.
7th, I believe.
Early in the month?
It's in January. I guess I don't
Usually they have
remember.
it towards the end, but maybe they
Oh.
switched.
Well, they were discussing back and forth. There was some logistical things that they were still working out, so.
Yeah, well, the site was an issue, but now they got that figured out. So it's
Yeah,
going to be,
so now then they were gonna double check to make sure that it was
the
available.
venue was available. Mark was going to check on that.
Yeah.
So. But it'll be in January. Yeah, I didn't have the date either. So.
The law enforcement center is where they were talking about holding it.
Oh, okay.
It was gonna be at the Career Academy, but just the dates, nothing really worked out because it'd be full of kids and it just,
Trying to add.
They're hoping
to
next
the
year they can make
mix
that
with
happen.
Wilson.
yeah, so anyway.
All right, great. Any other board committee reports? No, everybody's shaking their head. All right, let's move on. 6.4 superintendent reports.
Yeah, and the construction update, I'm not gonna get into that much. We'll talk about that later in this meeting when we close, because that's gonna be the significant discussion there as far as where we're at, where we're going, and some input on that. But I will say that I met with both superintendents today, Dennis and Dorth, and Travis today in Glendon, and things are moving forward. There's just some things we're waiting on, and we'll get them, but they are moving forward. So our COVID number today, we were at 13 on Friday, 6 went off over the weekend, so we were down, and then we have 4 more today, so now we're at 11. So down from last week right now, but we're just kind of, I said, as long as we're playing in that 0.5% to 1%, and then so far we've been able to do that. Again, super thankful for that. And so as long as we're there, that's a good thing.
And Shannon, is that across the board, K through 12, or is
And
there
staff, and that's staff too. Yeah. So with all of our students and all of our staff, we're at 1780 people. That's our full, that's with paras, cooks, every kid. So yeah, again, very fortunate, very lucky. We've also been fortunate with when they become positive. It seems like it's always been over, not always. Often it has been over a weekend. And so we've had maybe one day of exposure. So maybe like last Friday, but then now they haven't been since, or it was last Thursday and they weren't in Friday. So Kayla and Megan have both shared with me that it just seems like we're getting lucky with that part too, because there's not as many exposures then to our kids because they haven't been there as long. So yeah, so again, we're just super thankful. Next one, homecoming recap, and Lindsay alluded to it too. It was just a good week. I came over for the Pep Fest. It was just fun to watch the kids. It was, yeah, everybody I talked to said they had a great week, and that's what it's about. And so it was fun to see. Our enrollment numbers, the one thing I want to talk about with the enrollment numbers is the state of Minnesota came out with a pandemic enrollment loss support. So for us, we had, I think, and now I didn't bring that. I got about every other piece of paper off my desk here, but I didn't bring that for some reason. So yeah, there's additional $26,200 some odd dollars for us because of that, because I think it's 24 students is what it shows at the state level that we lost based on whenever they took that number. And so there's an additional 26,000 that we will be getting. We're supposed to get 80% of that this month, and then 20% of that in January. So.
Does that go towards anything?
It's not, as far as I know right now, it's not like you have to spend it on that. So I'm hoping that it's just ours to spend as we see fit. There was no strings attached with the first document I read. So hopefully it stays that way. It's unusual that it would be left alone and not, they don't tell you 6 things you can spend and that's it. As of today, I haven't heard anything else. So that is good. So I wanted to share that. And then the last thing is Tracy and I did meet. We're still working on that school-age childcare, and we're still shooting for November 1st. So we're hopeful. I talked to her again today. She's still hopeful that can happen. Remember, we changed the policy with the concession stand. She's also met with some other groups. She talked to me today that there might be some other funding for that. That other groups, that said they would like to help support that. So we're going to dig into that a little bit more, but again, our target date is still November, and so more information obviously is going to come fast, but I just want to make sure that we're doing it right and it's set up the way it should be, and we know there will be things that we learn as we go, but I'd like it to be as clean and fluid as possible when we start. So that's it. Questions?
I have a quick question, and I know you're going to comment on the construction stuff later, but as far as the cafeteria for the Glendon site, what, I'm asking now, because anyone's watching, just what's happening with that?
Yep, so very good question, because Shannon asks that every week too, because it's significant, and Margot's right behind us here, and she's living it every day as well. I am hopeful that it'll happen in February. That kids will have access to a bigger lunchroom in February. I'll just say that's what I'm hopeful for. If nothing else, if you go through the commons, which was the whole lunch before, you know that new brick wall that's there, because that's going to separate, so the commons will be to the west there. That area that's blocked off currently, because that's where our contractors have a bunch of their stuff. Once this area gets cleaned up, they're going to move all of that out, take that wall down. So that's going to open up a space there too for lunch. So that's really what's going to open up first, hopefully January, February, more February-ish. So that's not a huge space, but it does alleviate a lot of pressure from the gym and classrooms that the elementary is dealing with now. I don't know if it's good, it might, well, and Margot could know more about it, but it's gonna be able to house a lot of our elementary. Our high school's still gonna be an issue because they won't all fit in that space. And I'm not so sure elementary, but at least we can rotate more. Laura, I'm gonna tell you, is our number one, it's one of our number one issues because it's just the problem time of the day for our kids, for our staffs, for our school. And we just need that space open. And I wish I could say Christmas, but it's just not happening. It's just not. Yeah. Great question. I wish I had a better answer. We need to get a big tent.
All right. Any further
Yeah, heated tent,
questions? Yeah, heated tent. Any further questions for Shannon before we move on? All right, let's move on to 7.1. This is the approval of our regular meeting on September 27th. Do we have a motion? So motion by Amy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by David. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Right, consent agenda, claims and accounts, Laura?
$186,368.68.
Can you do
that one more time? I'm sorry. Yes, $186,368.68. Thank you.
We also have in your packet your treasurer's monthly budget report. We also have a donation from the Lake Agassiz Concert Band in the amount of $1,000 to be used for DGF Middle School Band. So thank you to Lake Agassiz for that. That was very generous. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by David, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Laura. Any discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. New and unfinished business, 9.1. These are the first reading of these policies. So we'll have a second reading next time. Policy will meet after this to go over any questions or concerns they may have. So the policies that we're going to be looking at, or first reading approval tonight, is 410, family and medical leave policy, 414, mandated reporting of child neglect or physical or sexual abuse, 415, mandated reporting of maltreatment of vulnerable adults, 418, tobacco-free environment, 503, student attendance, 506, student discipline, 514, bullying prohibition policy, 515, protection and privacy of pupil records, 515, protection and privacy of pupil records form, too many P's, and 520 is student surveys. We have a motion. Motion by Amy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nicole. Any questions or discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 9.2, this is going to be the second reading of the 21-22 certified seniority list. This has been posted and teachers have been able to look at this in the district office. So I don't believe there are any changes there, correct? All right, all those in favor, or motion, let's get motion. Motion by David. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, I'll do Brittany. All right, any discussion or questions? All right, hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right, we're going to be making a motion here to go in a closed session for a construction update. This falls underneath Minnesota Statute 13D.05, subdivision 2A. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Nicole, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Laura. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, we are going to ask the gallery, please, to step out into the hallway. We'll probably be